What does success look like for you? See, for most ambitious professionals and entrepreneurs, the answer is in numbers. 7 figures, multiple income streams, dream holidays, and financial freedom. But here's the reality that nobody talks about. Many people hit those goals, but they feel stuck. They build the wealth, but they lose their freedom. They grow the business, but their family barely knows them. They hit the milestones, but they feel chained to the hustle. In this episode, I want to challenge that model of success. I'm going to show you how to build a 7-figure lifestyle that doesn't require you to sacrifice your time, your family, and your freedom. If you have ever wondered if it is possible to build both impact and income without losing yourself in the process, then this conversation is for you. Let's dive right in. See, this episode is deeply personal to me because I've been that man at one point, working, doing 2 jobs, having so many responsibilities as a teacher, as a father, as a coach, pushing and pushing, hoping that one more hour of effort will bring me closer to that life it is that I have envisioned. But then I also know what it is to build systems, to have boundaries and a mindset that would help me grow my business, serve my clients around the world, and still have time to spend evenings with my family, do travels with my family, take my kids on holidays from time to time. So today I want to share with you not theory, not hype, but actual principles and practices that can help you scale your income without losing yourself in the process. See, there's a myth around entrepreneurship that says for you to be able to succeed as an entrepreneur, you need sacrifice. So you sacrifice your health, sacrifice your marriage, sacrifice your children's childhood. Now, while there are seasons of intense work that would require you to sacrifice, we all know that you cannot build a sustainable 7-figure lifestyle on the foundation of sacrifice. It won't work. Because if you burn out, if your relationships collapse, if your health fails, what's the point of all that money when you don't have the relationships, the people that love you to enjoy that money with you, or you don't have the health to enjoy that money with you? What's the point? Let me tell you a story. There's a very good friend of mine, he scaled his consulting business and he was doing pretty good for himself, running close to $1 million a year in revenue, which was pretty good. Now, on the outside, he looked like he was really winning. He was crushing all the numbers. He was on all the magazine covers. He was doing the podcast and all of that, which was pretty very good. But behind the scenes, at some point, his wife was ready to leave him. His teenage son wanted nothing to do with him. He had health scares because he was neglecting his body. And then he called me one day and he said to me, Shay, I had built the life that I thought I wanted, but now it feels empty. Those words hit deep in me. And then I began to ponder, how do I help people such that they can build this comfortable 7-figure, multiple-figure lifestyles, but not at the expense of their family, at the expense of their time, at the expense of their freedom? See, that's the cost of sacrifice that most people pay. But I tell you, that cost is too high to pay for the kind of life that you want. So, what's the alternative? I'm not speaking to you about, working less or dumbing down your goals and your expectations or not being ambitious about achieving those goals. No. So, it's not about working less. It's about working smarter. It's not about saying no to success. It's about redefining what success truly means to you so you can actually enjoy it when you reach it. See, one of the things I do with my clients, especially before we start, working together, when we come into the meeting, sometimes they come to me and they want to build this business, they want to do this, they want to do that. That's fantastic. But when we go into our conversation and what we call a clarity session, just where we can identify our goals and what it is, And then we go on talking about, your business, yes, your career, yes, but then we start talking about your personal life. And sometimes they're wondering, well, you're supposed to be a career coach or a business coach. Why are you speaking to me about my personal life? But it's very important because we need to define what success truly means to you. Because sometimes what you think is success is not what success is. Like my friend, like I said, he had achieved what he thought was success, built a multi-figure business, right? However, he was suffering on the home front. So I don't want to help my clients to build a successful business that takes them away from family, sacrifices their time, their health, and all of that. So it is important to redefine what success is so that you can actually enjoy it when you reach it. So I'll be sharing some principles with you that I believe would help you to achieve this. Now, the first principle is what I call the principle of leverage. The principle of leverage. Leverage is about multiplying your impact without multiplying your hours. It's about multiplying your impact without multiplying your hours. So think about a lever, right? In my elementary physics back in secondary school, we talked about a simple machine and we talked about the lever. Now, the lever has the effort, it has the load, and then it has the fulcrum. Now, the position of the fulcrum would determine how much effort is needed to lift a particular load. And if you remember back in the elementary physics, the closer the fulcrum is to the point of effort, the more effort you would require to lift the particular load you're talking about. And the further away from the efforts that the fulcrum is, the less effort you would require to lift the load. So what we're talking about is this. With the right lever, with the right positioning of the fulcrum that we're talking about here, you can actually still move the same level of load, achieve the same level of success, succeed at the same level of impact that you were, simply by moving that fulcrum closer to that load, and then you would apply less effort and you will still achieve the same result. That's what we're talking about here when we're talking about leverage. See, in business, in life, leverage allows you to achieve results that are far beyond what you can do on your own. So let's break this down into practical ways you can apply this leverage. In which ways can you apply the leverage? The first way it is you can apply the leverage are the people that get to work with you. See, I say to people that whatever dreams and visions and targets it is that you have for yourself, if it's something that ends with you, right? If all your goals, your talents ends with you, then it's a colossal waste because you haven't been packaged with giftings and talents just so that you can benefit from it all by yourself. Those giftings, those goals, those things that you have should be something that would benefit the world at large. Now, for you to be able to build a sustainable or generational business, a business that outlives you, that outlasts you, you need people. You need the right people, okay? Now, building a team, even if it starts with one person, is very critical. I'll tell you something. When I started my coaching and consulting business, I did everything by myself. I was the coach, I was the secretary, I was the call assistant, I sent all the emails, I did all the social media stuff, I did everything in the organization, right? But at some point, I realized I needed to leverage on other people to help me to achieve more. See, the moment you delegate tasks that can drain your energy or distract you from your core genius, you create space for growth. I work with many entrepreneurs, and what I realize is when people are starting out, especially when the numbers are not looking like you expect them to be, right? You're barely even making enough to run the business, and then you're thinking of, why should I get other people into the team? That's costing more money. Let me do it all by myself. But my simple strategy for you to achieve that is this. You need to understand what your cost per hour is, first of all. What do I mean by that? So take, for example, I have a full-time job. Maybe I am a sales executive, and on that job I'm paid, say, $2,000 per week. That's very good, okay? And then because I want to build wealth on the side and stuff like that, I also have a business that I run on the side. So maybe on my weekends or my evenings, I help SMEs build, sales teams, or I do sales trainings. I help them build systems and stuff like that, and trainings. And then on the side, so that gives me probably another $1,000 per week. So what that means is every week I'm doing $3,000 in revenue. That's fine, that's good. But then you also need to calculate how much hours takes you to produce that money. So maybe for my full-time sales executive role, I do 40 hours per week, which is the standard around the world. I do 40 hours per week to earn $2,000 per week. And then on my own business, I spend an extra 10 hours per week to earn an extra $1,000 per week, right? So putting that together, I'm doing $3,000 in revenue per week, but I'm spending 50 hours to get that. If you divide 3,000 by 50 hours, so you have roughly about $60 per hour. What that means is whatever activity that you want to do, particularly on your own business, on your side business, or whatever it is you choose to call it, whatever activity that you're doing, that you can get someone to do it for less than $60 is an activity that you need to delegate. So think about it. My sales trading business, or that I do on the side, I need, probably I need people to make calls for me. I need people to post on the internet or to create content for me. Those things are important as well. But can I get someone that I can pay maybe $30 an hour to create content for me? Oh yes, I think I can. Fantastic. If I can do that, what it means is I shouldn't be doing stuff like that. I should pay someone $30 an hour because my hourly rate is $60. I shouldn't be doing anything less than $60. What I should spend my time doing is consulting with my clients that probably will pay me $500 per hour. That is what I should do. So that's a way of creating leverage on people to help you to achieve more. Remember, the further away the fulcrum is from the point of effort, the less effort you would require. So when you are pushing those tasks that distract you from your core potential far away from you, the less effort you will need to be able to pull the same amount of weight, maybe even more. So just by applying a little more effort on your end, you get to be able to push much more on the other end. That's the power of leverage. So a lot of people are asking themselves, oh, can I really afford to hire an extra person on the team? But I think the question you should be asking yourself is, can I truly afford not to hire an extra person on the team? Because the hours you free up will help you to serve more clients, more creatively, and have a lot more impact. So that's the first principle I'm sharing with you today. The second principle is called systems. Systems. See, if you're answering the same client questions over and over again, reinventing your sales process every time, you are wasting your time. And systems, I like to describe it as an acronym which says save yourself time, energy, money, and stress. Save yourself time, energy, money, and stress. Systems. You need to be able to build systems to build the 7-figure lifestyle that you want without sacrificing your time, your family, and your freedom. What that means is you need to document your processes, you need to automate, you need to streamline your processes. These are the things that I help my clients to do. We need to understand what the processes are like and how you can, document them such that whoever it is, if you have a 10-man team, a 100-man team, a 1,000-man team, the systems are documented such that everybody is delivering at the same level of capacity with the same level of excellence that the company the company wants. So we use simple things like CRM tools, automated email sequences, frameworks, and that doesn't depend on me having to remember every little detail, right? These are ways of creating systems. Now, the next principle I'm going to share with you is, we're in the world of technology, right? The use of technology to build, leverage, to build systems, right? The tools are out there, from AI assistants to scheduling softwares to online course platforms. Every tool is like hiring another employee. Let me talk about myself as well. When I started my coaching and training business, it started off with one-to-one with clients. I was always, on calls doing stuff like that, but I was burning out. Okay. because I was doing too much and it was taking me away from my family. And then I decided to leverage on some technology. I started recording some videos where I could spend just some time to record a particular video, but that same video could get to reach many more people per time, right? So I didn't have to say the same thing over and over again to different clients. Rather, I had said it once, recorded it, and then created a course platform where my clients could access those things. It gave me leverage, it gave me time to focus on other things, and it also gave my clients flexibility in the sense that they could decide to access it in the middle of the night. I didn't have to be up, particularly for the fact that I had clients from different time zones, right? Some people are 6 hours away from me, 6-hour time zone away from me. So it was easier for them to access that content at their own convenient time. So those were some of the things that I implemented. And in my business processes now, there are so many automations that are going on so that we can deal with the thousands of customers it is that we deal with every week. Okay, we've hosted conferences in 3 different continents of the world, and we're still spreading to other places of the world. And we've hosted thousands of people in our events, and it takes automation to ensure things are done properly. If someone registers for our event in Cork, for example, in Ireland, they're not getting details about an event in the next event that we are having in New York, for example. Okay, so everything works with technology. That's one of the things that you can use to ensure that you are not actually sacrificing your time, your family, and your freedom just because you want to build a 7-figure lifestyle. And then the last principle I would share with you today, because of time, is content. So this is one that many people overlook. See, when you create content, whether it's a podcast, it's a video, it's a book, you're leveraging yourself. I talked about leveraging earlier. So if I had to speak every working day in a year, I mean, that's probably about 250 days in a year that I have to. If I have to speak every day, so probably I speak to 50 people per day or 100 people per day. Multiply that, right? How many people can I speak to in a whole year? But think about this. I can make one video about that thing that I'm talking about and then put it up on the internet or my podcast like I'm doing right now, and millions of people can get to watch it. And I don't have to repeat the things that I'm saying. So creating content, long form content, short form content, whatever it is, your podcast, your videos, your books, it gives you leverage to be able to reach many more people than you could on your own, right? It gives you exponential leverage. Okay, because you are doing the same thing to several people at the same time. That's part of why in my business, part of what we do with our clients is to build a very vibrant online presence, social media presence, because these things help you to reach many more people at the same time. I mean, there's no business in this present world that we are in that shouldn't take social media very, very seriously. So here's the key insight. Leverage doesn't just free up your time, it buys back your freedom. It creates the space to go to your kids' football games, to take that holiday, to rest without guilt. I mean, every week, I take my kids, my daughter goes for ballet, my son does football, and so many other activities that we do during the week. As busy as I am servicing clients around the world with a full-time job, with so many events here and there, I still get to make out time for my family. That's the power of leverage. You know, I say something sometimes to people that I have a very bad habit of mixing business with pleasure. What do I mean by that? Of course, like I say, I travel around a lot because I host different conferences in different parts of the world. But one thing I have incorporated in my conferences is I have never gone to host a conference anywhere without going with my family. So what I do is I plan a holiday around every location that I'm going for a conference. So take, for example, if I'm going to Dallas for a conference, it's because I have planned a holiday for my family in Dallas. So while I'm in Dallas hosting the conference, I'm also having a holiday with my family. Those are the ways that I've been able to incorporate, my family into my work, such that, to the point that my family looks forward to my next conference now, because it's like they are looking forward to the next holiday. When are we visiting this place? Because when are you? And my kids come to me, Dad, when are you having the next conference in so location? Or in fact, they come to me and say, Dad, let's go have a conference in this place. Why? Because they know it's an opportunity to visit a new place. And if you're wondering about where the next location of our conferences are, you may be coming to a city near you. Check the link in this post. You would find those details as well. So when you actually have that space, you can actually think, you can innovate, you can lead at a higher level. That's the power of leverage. So we've talked about the first principle. Now let's go on to the second principle. The second principle is boundaries. Boundaries. Here's the truth I learned the hard way. If you don't set boundaries, the world would set them for you. And guess what? The world doesn't set them in your favor. As ambitious entrepreneurs, it's easy to let work seep into everyday cracks of your life, right? Answering emails at midnight, taking client calls during family dinners, saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way because of the fear of missing out, okay? You need to be conscious of boundaries. But boundaries are not about restrictions. They are about protection. Okay? Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine your time and energy are like a bank account. Okay? Every yes is a withdrawal from that bank account, right? And every distraction is another charge. Before long, you'll be in overdraft, you'll be burnt out, you'll be stressed, you'll be resentful, many times to the people that love you the most. So your boundaries are deposits. They protect your account, your time account, your energy account. They protect that account for you. So what does boundary look like for you? For someone like me, some of my boundaries are my regular routines. So my morning routines, my prayer time, or my worship time, my meditation time. Because if I don't fill up myself first, I can't pour into others. So it is important that I set those boundaries for myself. At that time of the day, I don't take any calls. There are certain times of the day, if you go onto my calendar, it's blocked out, it's family time. You don't get to speak to me at that time. It's almost impossible to reach to me on a Sunday morning to come to an event and all of that, because it's my time for worship. So what are your boundaries, right? You need to be able to define what those boundaries are for you. From time to time as well, I also set limits on the amount of clients I can work with per time. Not because I don't need the money, not because we don't want the money to scale, but because we want to ensure that we have just about enough clients per time that we can work with. So we have limited spaces per time. And if you'd like us to work with you to help you build the systems, build this leverages, you can check the link in the description and we can talk about that. So it might sound counterintuitive, but the fewer clients at a higher impact is more sustainable than saying yes to everybody, right? You want to be everything to everybody. You can't achieve that. It's not possible to serve everybody. So you need to be able to focus, limit the number of clients it is that you deal with per time so that you can deliver, and those will become repeat clients. And guess what? That's the best form of marketing that you can think of. A very happy client will save you hundreds and thousands of dollars on adverts. And here is something that I have found. The clearer my boundaries are, the more people respect them. Clients don't push back when they know that I'm serious about my values. They don't approach me for certain things because they know it goes against my values. My family feels valued as well, and then I feel balanced. So it is important to set those boundaries for yourself. So let me ask you, what boundaries do you need to put in place to protect your freedom? What boundaries do you need to put in place? Ask yourself. Let's go quickly to the third principle. The third principle is about mindset. Of course, I almost can't speak to you about talking about your mindset, because the mindset is very, very critical. I'll be honest with you, this is the one thing that makes or breaks it all. So the thing is, I've worked with several leaders, people that had systems, they've had money, they've had teams, but they were still very miserable. Why? Their mindset was trapped in the space of scarcity. What do I mean by this? Scarcity says, I don't have enough. I need to hustle harder. I need to prove myself, right? On the other hand, abundance says, I already have enough. I create from overflow, not from lack. I choose opportunities that align with my purpose. A lot of people feel that there's not enough room at the top. One of the things that I do is I teach about wealth creation. And in my recent executive leadership bootcamp that we had in Marrakesh, Morocco, I was speaking to them about how people feel that there's not enough wealth at the top for everybody to share. So for me to get an extra million, it means I need to reduce the million and then my competitor has. That is not true. 100 years ago, the richest people in the world were about $100,000 rich, right? And then what began to grow, then we began to see people reaching millions of dollars in wealth. Okay, and then we began to see people reaching billions of dollars in wealth. The richest man in the world today, these things keep fluctuating, but at the time of this recording, we're still Elon Musk, and it's ranging between $350 to $400 billion that he has. But guess what? Because we are beginning to see, we started seeing $100,000 companies, we moved to $1 million companies, we moved to $1 billion companies. Right now we have $1 trillion companies. Now what happens is when you begin to see $1 trillion companies, very soon you'll begin to see $1 trillion individuals, because the individuals are the people that make the companies, right? So we have a number of $1 trillion companies right now. We have the likes of them Apples, like Nvidia. These are $1 trillion companies, and what's going to happen very soon is $1 trillion individuals are going to exist. So the question is, where did the money come from? The amount of money on earth now is more than 100 times the amount of money that was on earth before. What that means is you can create more. I don't need to reduce another person's wealth for me to have more. I can create it. That's what the abundance mindset brings to you. A scarcity mindset will tell you, oh, there's not enough money, so for me to go higher, I need to bring the next person down. No, the abundance mindset means there's enough for everybody. If there's not, I will create it. Create more wealth. So let me give you a personal example. When I moved from Nigeria to Ireland, right, I had to relearn this lesson all over again. It was starting afresh, building relationship credibility. All of the people that I had worked with before, all of the amazing things that I had done in my previous place of employment, all of that had gone because I was literally starting my career afresh, starting with people afresh. My income and all of that, everything was starting afresh. I was living in a new country, I didn't know anybody, and I was literally starting. It was easy to fall into the scarcity mindset, to think, well, I'm never going to catch up. These people have been living here for several years. It's impossible for me to catch up with them. But when I shifted into the abundance mindset, I realized my story, my expertise, my perspective, that is my unique selling value. That is value in itself. And I began to capitalize on those things. Little wonder why a few months after I got into the new country, into Ireland, I had achieved so much success that I began to help other people to achieve the same thing. 8 months after I moved into the new country, into Ireland, where I live right now, I started my first leadership conference to empower people to achieve the same thing. It took me just about 6 months to be able to break into that space, and that conference has gone to become a global phenomenon right now. We've held the conference in different parts of the world, and we just might be coming to a location close to you. So how do you get to cultivate this abundant mindset? The first thing is gratitude. Right? Gratitude and appreciation. Start by noticing what you already have. A lot of people focus on things that they don't have. Rather, focus on what it is that you already have. So look at your health, look at your family, look at the opportunities. Gratitude gets to unlock abundance for you. And the second thing is the appreciation, right? So gratitude is a feeling. Appreciation is the expression of that feeling, right? And there are two definitions of appreciation I would look at here. The first definition of appreciation is to express a feeling of gratitude to someone. So I can appreciate someone for doing so. Oh, I thank my family for being supportive despite this challenging period that I'm going through. That is appreciation. Now, another definition for appreciation is for something to increase. Okay, so for example, the price of a house can appreciate. What that means is the price gets higher, the price increases. Okay, now if you put those two definitions together, I say to people, whatever you appreciate will appreciate. So whatever you are grateful and you show that gratitude for, that thing will increase in your life. So if you are grateful for health and I'm grateful that I've got divine health, I thank God that I've got divine health, what happens is your health begins to get better. Oh, I'm grateful for my family, I have the best wife, I have the fantastic kids. Guess what? They begin to get better. Whatever you appreciate will appreciate. And another way of using this is when you see people that have achieved certain things that you want to achieve, appreciate them. Oh, I'm grateful that you have done this fantastic business. Your business is now doing multiple figures. Even if you haven't reached that level yet, what happens is the fact that you are appreciating that gift, that success in the life of someone else, that thing will appreciate in your own life as well. So that's the first way to create and cultivate that abundance mindset, gratitude and appreciation. The second thing is your vision. Paint a clear picture of what you would like to see, what your bank balance would look like, what your relationships would look like, what your freedom would look like. Create that picture. Like I said, during what I call the clarity session with my prospective clients, we get to sit down and we look at this picture. What does it look like for you? What does success look like for you in your family, in your business, in your career? What does success look like for you? It is important to paint that picture. And while crafting or cultivating that vision, ensure it is something that is big enough to service the world out there. Like I said, if whatever it is that you have is limited to you and yourself alone, that's a colossal waste of resources. And then the third way to create an abundance or cultivate an abundance mindset is your identity. Stop saying, I'm trying to be successful. Start saying, I am the kind of person that builds a 7-figure lifestyle without sacrifice, because your words are powerful. Your mind is powerful, but as powerful as your mind is, it can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. What you say to your mind believes it is so true. And then your mind begins to work with that consciousness. So when you constantly say positive things onto yourself, it's because that it takes those things and it begins to operate as if you are that successful person. More like fake it till you make it. It's not exactly faking it. You are tricking your mind to believe you have achieved it so that it can achieve it for you. Like I might in the earlier podcast I released, I talked about you need to be before you become. Being is a state of mind. You need to be that thing in your mind. So you need to be that successful 7-figure entrepreneur. You need to be that successful father, that loving father to the family, that loving mother to the family. You need to be that successful mother, that wife to your husband, right? You need to be that in your mind, and then you will become it by what you do with your hands. Because here's the truth, 7 figures won't fix a scarcity mindset, but the abundance mindset would help you enjoy the 7 figures and so much more. So let's put all of this together. Here's a simple framework that you can apply right now to move you towards a 7-figure lifestyle without sacrifice, like we've talked about. Now, the first thing is audit your time. For the next week, right, track every hour that goes, right? You'll be shocked at how much time leaks into your low-value tasks, those tasks that are producing little or no relevance to the big picture that you're trying to achieve. That's where your leverage begins. You need to identify the place that you need to apply leverage. Number 2, define your boundaries. Write down your non-negotiables. What are those things that you can't compromise? Is it family time? Is it rest? Is it health? Is it exercise? Whatever it is, then build your calendar around them, not the other way around. So what some people do is they fit in all the work and everything that they need to do, and then the space that is left, they fit in family, fit in this. No, it should be the other way around. Fit all of those things first and then build your calendar around that. Number 3, shift your mindset. Start each day by gratitude and appreciation, and end each week by celebrating your wins. On my coaching program, there's something that we do every week. We have what is called Growth Academy, where we all come together and we're learning and sharing together as a group. And there are non-negotiables in any of our meetings. One of the first things that we do when we come in is what we call share your wins for the week. Because what we are trying to do is train our minds, our brains to focus on the positives. The natural human mind focuses on the negative things. It's not your fault. That's how the human mind is trained, because it's trying to protect you from things happening. So it's trained to look up for negative things, right? But the more you focus on the negative things, what you look at is what you become. What you focus on is what you become. So what we do is we try to train our minds to focus on the positive things by deliberately finding those things that are worth celebrating. So when we come into our meetings every week, the first thing we do is what is called the win for the week, where everybody identifies at least one thing that they are happy about, that they would like to celebrate, and everybody celebrates with them. That's one of the things that we do. That's a way to shift your mindset to an abundance and positivity mindset. And then number 4, create a leverage plan. Ask, what can I delegate? What can I automate? What can I systemize this month, right? Don't wait. Start small, but start now. Some people are waiting until they have the 1,000 clients they need to attend to before they create that system. That's the wrong thing. That's the wrong way to look at it, right? Like I always say, if you wait for the time of war to prepare for war, you have already prepared to fail in that battle. Okay, you don't wait on the time of war. You start preparing for war ahead of time. So you need to start building the systems. You need to start small, yes, but build the system such that when the increase comes, which definitely will if you apply all the things I've talked about, where you begin to scale to 7 and multiple figures, you have a system that can carry it. So this is the blueprint, not just for wealth, but for wealth with freedom. So here's the message I want to leave you with. Scaling to 7 figures is possible, but scaling to 7 figures while keeping your time, your family, and your freedom, that's leadership. And that's the success that lasts. Remember, leverage gives you systems, boundaries protect your values, and abundance keeps you fulfilled. You don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to choose. You can design a life where your success and freedom walk hand in hand. And if you take just one thing away from this episode, let it be this. The real wealth you create isn't the money that you make. No, it is the life that you live. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this conversation spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. Let's build a community of leaders who refuse to settle for less. Leaders who are scaling impact, income, and influence without losing themselves along the way. Until the next time I come your way, remember there's greatness on your inside and the world is waiting for you to birth and manifest that greatness. Go out there and be profitable. And I will see you next time on the Growth Code Podcast. Bye for now.